Is education a right or a privilege?
I think education is a right because without education you can't really have a good job or anything like that. Education for all.
Hello, my name is Katarina Landesman and I think that education should be a right. Everyone in the world deserves an education. I'm Holly Bellman and I think that education should be a right because in order for there to be good change in the world we need to educate our future generations.
My name is Christoph Lotke from 9th grade. I think education is a right that every human in this world should have and that Amnesty International should also support it.
Hi, I'm Katie and I believe that education is a right that everyone should have an education.
Hi, my name is Chris Lee. I'm in grade 12. I believe that education is a fundamental right that every human is entitled to. It's like everybody should have at least a certain amount of opportunity, and that is given by education. And I think one of the biggest problems in the world right now is that there's too many kids who do not even get primary education, for example in Africa.
I believe that education is a right and that everyone should have it. And that some people that don't have it, they could be maybe very smart, but they just can't do it.
And I believe that education is a right of all humans. Every human should have access to education, school, universities, because every child needs to be educated in order to be a full global citizen of this world. But we also need to understand that we need to treat education as a privilege, especially those of us who receive such great education such as we do here in AAS Vienna. We need to understand that it is a privilege and treat it in such a way that we understand and respect and appreciate it.
I'm Kosti and I believe that it should be a right, but it's often seen as a privilege.
What do you mean by education? College? High school? Literacy? As far as what I believe is that it's wrong to make educating anyone illegal. So in that sense, it's a right, as in the right to life doesn't mean I keep you alive at all costs. It means I'm not allowed to kill you. So I don't think anybody should be stopped from being educated. But the reason I would say that it's a privilege is because it's the rare kind of thing that even if someone gives it to you, you don't necessarily have it. You have to earn it even when it's given. And that's a strange idea, I think. So it's a privilege in that you have to make the most of the opportunity that you are given, and you're not necessarily even given an opportunity, you just shouldn't be stopped from having it, if that makes sense.
I'm Mr. Lambie and I believe education is a right. I think primary education should be a right in all countries. I think secondary education should be a right in all countries. I think tertiary education should be a right in well-developed countries.
I'm Victoria and I think that education should be a right.
I'm Augusta and I think that education should be a right, but unfortunately it's a privilege now.
Zeynep Hanım, ben size öncelikle teşekkür ederim böyle bir organizasyon hazırladığınız için. Çok güzel bir konuya değinmişsiniz. Okul tabii ki insanların hakkı, doğal hakkı hem de. Ben de isterdim bütün okulların hepsini okumak isterdim. Ama o imkan bana sunulmadı. Size teşekkür ediyorum. Yine de bir okul eğitim yuvasında çalıştığım için. Çok da hoşuma gidiyor, severek yapıyorum. Ama güzel bir konu. Benim hoşuma gidiyor okulda çalışmak ve sizlerle olmak. Buradaki insanlardan çok memnunum ayrıca. Onların hepsine ayrı ayrı da teşekkür ediyorum. Ama haklarımızın tabii eksik tarafları da var. Bunu da söyleyeyim yani. Ne gibi eksikliklerimiz var? Dil eksikliğimiz var. Konuşma yönünde eksikliğimiz var bütün arkadaşlarımın ve benim. Bu bir mazerettir benim için. Büyük bir eksiklik. İkincisi insanların ki bizi anlamalarından çok memnunuz. Dilimiz onların dili kadar şey değil ama bizi bedenen de anlıyor onlar. Başka ne diyeyim bilemiyorum ki.
Güzel.
Hi, I'm Selena Chow. I'm in 5th grade. I think education should be a right.
Hi, I'm Mr. Chow, and I'm very interested in this question that you've asked. I would say that education should definitely be a right. It should be treated as a right for all young people to get an education that allows them to pursue their goals. We often talk here about the privilege aspect of the education. And to me that means that the particular opportunities that we have at schools like this, that's the privilege, and something that we have to kind of keep in mind, that many, many people don't have that kind of privilege. And so that makes it part of our responsibility to try and use that well. Of course, we should be working towards a world where all young people have that kind of education.
And I strongly believe that it's a right. And I think that both girls and boys should have equal education, and no matter where you come from, it shouldn't be that you happen to be unlucky or lucky in where you were born and what kind of education you get. Definitely.
Okay, education should be a right, and I say that only because as an African American growing up in the 50s and the 60s, there was a time when we didn't have rights as people of color. So because of the American Constitution, it is a right. Later it might become a privilege, but my feelings are I have a right to be educated, and anyone else should have the right to be educated.
I come from a country where education is mandatory. It's a right, but definitely people, they're low income. Sometimes it's difficult for them to send their kids to school. That's when it becomes a privilege for some families that can't afford books and shoes and paper and pencils. Things like that are a reality in Costa Rica, but also every single child in the world should have the right for an education.
Hi, my name is Deidre Dino, and I'm the Director of Admissions for the American International School. I have been in Austria for about 12 years, but I originally come from the Philippines, a third world country, largely patriarchal, and so we also had this culture where boys were prioritized over girls. But I was very fortunate because my father valued education above everything else, and to be very honest, he didn't leave me with anything else but my education. But I actually am very grateful for that. Having said that, I think education is a right. Every child, regardless of nationality, of race, of gender, has a right to education. Reading, writing, mathematics, all of those important components that will be used later in life. I do think also that some children and some students and some people take it for granted, so I think they should also look at it as a privilege, because not everyone has access to it. And whatever you're learning right now, you will apply at some point in your future. So I think it is a little bit of both, but to be perfectly honest, everyone should have the right to education.